Welcome to PCC Connection, a community affairs program exploring the unique interests of the citizens of Pueblo and Pueblo County. PCC Connection is produced by the students and staff of Pueblo Community College. Now, here's your host for PCC Connection, Michael Engel.
Hello and welcome to PCC Connection, a community affairs program brought to you from the campus of Pueblo Community College. Welcome. I'm Michael Engel, your host, and so glad to have you with us today. I have some incredible guests in the PCC Center for New Media Studios with me today. And let me go around the table here. We'll begin with Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia. Was just with us about a month ago and is back in town for some important events. Dick Kaufman, who's the chair of the Colorado Commission of Higher Education. Welcome, Dick.
Thank you.
And certainly a familiar face in our Pueblo community, longtime educator Jeanette Garcia, who is representing the 3rd Congressional District. And the purpose of all of these wonderful guests here in Pueblo and at our great campus is the Colorado Commission of Higher Education is meeting here on our campus. So again, on behalf of the president and our faculty and staff, welcome to all of you.
Thank you, Michael.
I know there's a lot of important things going on, and let me start with the Lieutenant Governor. In May of this year, House Bill 1319, a monumental bill, I guess you would say, dealing with higher education. Just in a short amount of time, can you in a nutshell tell us what House Bill 1319 did for us?
Yes. Now, House Bill 1319 does not create new money for higher education, but it says that we need to take the money we spend now as a state and allocate it based on objective criteria. Sounds simple, but we really haven't done that. We've really funded institutions based mostly on enrollment, but also mostly just based on history. You know, if you got a certain amount last year, you're going to get that same amount the next year, roughly speaking. But now we're saying let's look at total number of students you serve, total number of students you graduate, how quickly you graduate them. We're going to look at some of those different quantifiable outcomes, and then we're going to try to provide funding to institutions based on their performance. So we need to figure out what those metrics should be, how they should be weighted at different institutions, recognizing that they have different roles and missions, and so they have different kinds of inputs, different kinds of students coming in.
Okay. And Dick, I know that as the chair of the Colorado Commission of Higher Education, a lot of this is going to fall to you, meaning you're kind of shepherding all of this, but I know there are some significant goals that were created out of this. You created a master plan, if you will. Let's talk about that master plan and kind of the primary goals that came out of that planning.
Okay. And Jeanette's part of this too.
Okay.
She's on the commission.
Yeah, we'll certainly,
Sure.
yeah.
But I want to start by, I want to thank Governor Hickenlooper and Lieutenant Governor Garcia, because this year, you know, with the recession 5 years ago,
right,
we lost about $300 million in funding for higher education in Colorado. There was no way around it. It was just due to the reduction in revenues. With the economies coming back, Governor Hickenlooper and Lieutenant Governor Garcia, we have a $60 million increase, and that really ties into the master plan, because what we're trying to do, we were given the task to write a master plan by the legislature, I think in Senate Bill 52, if I'm correct. We came up with that plan, and the primary goals are to serve the underserved student body population in this state, to get more people who get into school, not only to get into school, but to retain them and then graduate them.
And that's a significant part of this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this, you know, we set these goals, but it's the schools like Pueblo Community College, CSU, Pueblo, who actually then, you know, implement these through contracts, performance contracts that we sign with each school. So we're actually implementing this now, and the new money, of course, that Governor Hickenlooper and Lieutenant Governor Garcia, and I might add the legislature appropriated.
Sure. Yeah, they're kind of a key element of this.
But I mean, the administration, Governor Hickenlooper, Lieutenant Governor Garcia, have done a great job supporting higher education in this state.
Jeanette, I know the access that Dick was talking about is an important part of what you're behind as well. Mm-hmm. You're a Puebloan, and you know it's something we've been talking about in District 60 and 70 for a long time, and of course accessibility. What do you see as, you know, one of the goals here, of course, is to increase attainment and enhance access to post-secondary education. What do you think some of the elements are that are critical to making that happen?
I think some of the big elements are making sure we have a great partnership with our local school districts. I think it's up to us as much as possible to help our young people create the dream of education and then help them achieve the dream of education. As a Puebloan, I attended Spen Elementary, Parkview Elementary, Risley Middle School, East High School.
Yeah.
I did a 2-year degree here at PCC, a 4-year degree up at CSU Pueblo, or Southern Colorado State College at that time, and then I've come back to use that education to help improve the quality of life for Puebloans through education.
So you're actually a success story about making that happen, a local product and then coming through our higher education institutions.
Well, I feel like I am a product of the community, a product of the educational system, and as a consequence, if that says successful, then so be it. I just want to make sure that the opportunities I was afforded are the same opportunities we give to all the citizens in the state of Colorado.
I know one of the things, and I'll come back to you, Lieutenant Governor, is that, and I'm sure you've heard this, one, from knowing our community, is that this new funding model and the formula that I think will have to be in place or be at least presented by December is, I think one of the cries you're going to hear is, we're not all equal. And certainly from the community college side, there's 13 community colleges, and how do you put something into place that's a fair and equitable model of funding that can kind of meet all of the needs of all of the different stakeholders, whether it be Denver and Southern Colorado and down into the San Luis Valley? Do you have something in mind about that?
Absolutely. The first thing we need to do is listen to those stakeholders, to go out around the state, talk to people about the different conditions in their communities. We know that Pueblo Community College, as an example, has different incoming students than University of Colorado at Boulder. It's an open admissions institution. We would not expect that their students will graduate at the same rate as the students at CU Boulder. So we have to recognize the different role in missions. So while we might say graduation rates are important at both institutions, we might have different goals for each one, again, based on those inputs. And so that's where we need to be working in a collaborative way with each of the institutions to figure out what works for them and what allows them to better serve their students.
And this is one of the things I believe that the Colorado Commission of Higher Education, one of your functions in having these various meetings at different institutions, right, Dick? You've been coming around, and I assume through your advisory council, you're hearing some of these messages from your local community, right?
Right, and we, in a sense, we've already been working on all this for a couple of years. 1319 was passed, of course, this year, but we signed performance contracts with each institution, I think 2 years ago now.
Right.
And as Lieutenant Governor Garcia said, each institution has its own kinds of students, incoming student body, and so we set those performance contracts based on each institution's data, and again, focusing on retention and graduating in the future and what are the goals. So the public can be assured that here in Pueblo, either at CSU or here at Pueblo Community College and across the state, we are aware of these issues.
These variances,
these variances, but we're trying to move those same goals along, you know, in the perspective of each individual school.
Let me ask you a question more as almost a citizen here of Pueblo. How can you do this? We talked about that shrinking pot of money, and yet it's a pretty monumental task to say we're going to you know, this really is some groundbreaking changes in how we're funding higher education, correct?
Yes, it's performance funding rather than just giving schools so
X
much
amount of
money
dollars,
based on how many students are enrolled at that school. So it's performance funding, and that's what the performance contracts are.
Are there some other states that are already leading this charge?
I think Lieutenant Governor Garcia probably know more about it. I know Tennessee is like 100%. I think 100% performance funding now. Yeah, there are other states that have already gone down the road.
Right, and through the Education Commission of the states, we are talking to those other states, Tennessee, Indiana, Kentucky, for example, where they have already started on this process, and they're doing the same things. They're looking at number of degrees produced and time to degree and amount of debt load upon completion. Those are the kinds of factors that they look at. And so while we look at the same factors for all institutions, we would weight them differently, so that a school like Pueblo Community College would be recognized for the fact that it serves more low-income, first-generation, and minority students than does Boulder. Boulder might be recognized for producing more graduates at least in terms of percentage of all students enrolled.
Okay.
And if I may just
Please,
add one
please,
thing,
yeah.
just one fact. The public should know this. We are the most efficient system in the United States of America. Our higher education system, in other words, number of degrees per dollar spent, this is right now the most efficient system.
The state of Colorado is most efficient when it comes to spending our
Public
higher ed
university,
dollars?
yeah.
When you include when you look at both state support and tuition dollars,
Yeah.
that revenue coming in, we produce more degrees per $100,000 spent than any other state.
Oh, there's some good news there.
Yeah.
Although I believe we're the second lowest in the amount of money we spend on higher
In funding.
education in our
Yes,
funding.
yes.
So.
We're going to take a quick break. We're meeting with members of the Colorado Commission of Higher Education who have been touring the state. Here with Dick Kaufman, who's the chair, Jeanette Garcia, who's with the representing the 3rd District, and of course Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia, who is the executive director. Don't go away. We're going to be talking about more of this, especially about our higher education funding. We'll be right back.